Welcome back, everyone. Today we're joined by a special guest, Logan Riley Bruner, who you may know from Stranger Things Season 4. He plays the role of Fred Benson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really great. I'm excited to talk to you.
Awesome. So my first question today is, what was your reaction to getting the role of Fred Benson?
I freaked out. I was actually on this couch. It was at the end of 2019. It had been like 2 months since I had auditioned for the part, and I got an email in the middle of the night. It was like 12 o'clock at night that I had booked it and that they wanted to go ahead with me as Fred. And I jumped up, started screaming. My mom thought that something awful had happened, so she was, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "It's great. It's good. It's good. It's good news. I got the part. I'm gonna be on the show." So yeah, it was super exciting.
That's awesome. Were you a fan of the show prior to getting the part?
Oh, absolutely. I've loved the show since it came out. I auditioned for it back when season one came out. And I fell in love with the script. I fell in love with the way that the Duffer Brothers told this story. And so it was a show that I definitely knew that I wanted to be a part of. And even if I hadn't gotten to, it was just a show that I loved and that I wanted to keep watching and keep seeing how this story unfolded. So for sure.
No, I was actually watching a few of your TikToks, and they actually came up on my For You page throughout the last few weeks. So that's
Nice.
why I wanted to talk to you. But you said you, if I'm correct, auditioned for Jonathan Byers, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
What did that teach you about rejection and getting to where you are today?
I feel like rejection is just a part of this industry. For every like 50 or 60 no's, you get one yes. And so it's just been a process over the years of learning how to take the victories of getting into that room and meeting that casting director and forming connections with new people and using those to kind of continue moving forward. I don't think I would have ended up playing Fred had I not auditioned for Jonathan way back when and gotten on the casting director's radar. So I mean, everything leads to where you're supposed to be, and if something's meant for you, it will be for you, and if it's not, it'll pass you by, and you just kind of got to keep going day by day and doing the things that you can.
Exactly. I feel like that's with everything. You just have to keep pushing and trying and saying no. Or the getting the no's is just another opportunity that's coming your way.
For sure.
How hard was it to keep the secret from all your friends?
Oh, it was super hard. I had known again since like December of 2019, and they didn't announce that I was a part of the show until like a month before Volume One came out. So I was sitting on that for a while. I think with my friends, it's one thing they're used to me being secretive about projects or saying that I can't really share a lot. I think the hard thing was with people in the industry was you have this really awesome role, this really awesome thing that you know is gonna show you in a new light or might open some more doors for you, and to have to kind of sit on that and just wait and be patient and know that they have a plan and that they're going to do what they need to do to make the show as successful as possible is tough. But I think that in the end it was worth it because I got to really have an exciting announcement, and now the reception from the fans has been just incredible. So it was a long road, but I'm glad that I was able to make it through it.
Awesome. And I've seen through your TikToks and all that some fans want to cosplay Fred and are making, I see all your awesome fan art on Instagram. What does that mean to you as an actor and seeing all this and knowing that a kid could be dressed up as you for Halloween?
I mean, it's super surreal. I've been doing this for like 15 years, and so to have a part be so recepted and be so loved and admired, and to have people creating fan art and cosplays, it's definitely a different experience than something that I've ever done. But there's a real like honor to it. It feels really special that I was able to play a character that was written so well, that's really connected to the fans and that people are super excited about. I feel humbled every day by the fact that people love Fred so much and have admired him so much. So it's super nice. It's a great feeling. It brings me a lot of joy.
Now, I talked to Trey Best, who played Jeff on the show, and he said that his first day on set was actually when the shutdown happened and everything was uncertain. Did something similar happen to you? And what was your first day of actual filming like?
Yeah, I was supposed to fly out to Atlanta the week that the shutdown happened. So I was still in New York. I had tested. I was actually no, this was before testing. I was ready to go. I had my bags packed. But then they said they were gonna take a 2 week break, and then 2 weeks turned into like 8 months. But my first actual day on set was a real technical day. I mean, I went in, we did costumes, we worked out the scar, we figured out where it was going to go on my face and how the whole application process was going to happen. And then my first day of actual filming was the scene where Nancy and I are walking down the hallway, which has no dialogue, and it's really just like the two of us together walking. But it was a great way to kind of get introduced to the world. I didn't have a lot of complicated emotional work to do. There wasn't a lot of dialogue to remember. It was just like really falling into sync with Natalia and kind of feeling her energy and what was happening in this world. It was a real ease into the process. So I feel like I was really lucky to get that kind of an easy first day in order to get me prepared for what was to come.
That's awesome. So what was it like working with Natalia?
I mean, she's amazing. She's remarkably talented and super humble and super kind. It was a real blessing to get to have her as a scene partner. I feel like I can't say enough nice things about her. But she was fantastic. I've loved her character since the show first came out. I've been a Nancy and Jonathan fan since season 1. So to get to work with her and to get to kind of be a part of that storyline is a super honor for me. And I was just really happy to be a part of it.
So what do you think Fred would think of Nancy and Jonathan's relationship right now? And because throughout the season she was checking out Steve a lot and they had some chemistry going. What do you think Fred would be saying if he was alive?
I mean, we hear what he thinks at the very beginning. He's clearly not a fan. I think there have been a lot of people who have said that Fred had feelings for Nancy, and that can be debated until the cows come home. I don't know that
Mhm.
Fred even knew how he felt about Nancy, but he clearly cares a lot about her, and he thinks that she deserves the world. He thinks that she's really the only person I think that he sees as his intellectual equal. And so I think he would very much be in the boat of loving a person and being with a person who respects you. And I think really like we've seen some great moments from Steve, but I feel like Fred is not really a fan of jocks. I feel like Fred would probably have been a big fan of Robin and Nancy. Fred would probably be really into that. So I mean, Logan is into that. I like the Robin and Nancy romance. So like, I'm gonna
It
say
could still have. We never know. We never
it could
know.
happen. It could happen. I mean, we've got Vicky now, who's amazing. I love Amy Beth
Mhm.
McNulty. I think she's a phenomenal actor. I think that the relationship between Robin and Vicky is going to be so fun to see how they explore it going forward. But yeah, I think Robin and Nancy is a really fun duo, and I hope that they at least keep them going strong.
I agree. As an actor, did you learn anything new from Natalia, that you didn't know before? And how did her energy, did it bounce off you and help you be better as an actor?
I mean, I think you're always learning little things. You're always learning the technical aspects of filming, and you're learning just how to get into scenes better, how to kind of collaborate with other people. I feel like she is so consistent and just knows who that character is backwards and forwards that it was really just a process of working opposite of her and feeding off that energy. Her energy is so present and so ready for whatever I threw at her that it was really easy to kind of play with. So I think that it was just a lot of us playing. It was a lot of just being able to have freedom to kind of do the scenes and have fun with them. And I think that was a super gift that I got to have.
Now, I actually asked my TikTok audience some questions and asked
Oh,
them
I
if they would
saw
like
that
to ask
TikTok
some
this
stuff.
morning. I was like scrolling through the comments, like I wonder which one he's gonna ask.
So, I'll have three during this interview, but my first one is from Nicole Moya underscore, and she said, "What did the cast do in their free time on set?"
Well, first off, thank you, Nicole, for asking me this question. It's really cool. During free time, it was hard. I mean, we were still in the midst of pandemic, so everyone's being really careful. Everyone's kind of maintaining distance and making sure that they're safe. People were playing board games, though. I mean, we would spend time together when we could. We would chat and hang out outside where there's a lot of like air and space, and be able to see each other and interact with each other. There were days that we would like go to the parks and just like enjoy being in nature and kind of getting to decompress from this intense world. But it was a lot of board games, honestly. It was a lot of game nights.
What was the go-to board game?
There's not really a go-to. It's just like whatever the mood is for the evening, you know?
Hmm. So, what would you say is your favorite scene that you filmed? Because I know one of my favorites from Fred is, of course, when Vecna traps him in the grave. That was one of my favorites.
I mean, of course, that's a blast. I always working on a death scene, especially a scene that's that intense, is always a ton of fun. Getting to like run through the woods in the middle of the night, and I really like physical acting, so doing the stuff on wires and falling and all of the excitement that we got to have was a lot of fun. I really do though love the scene that they have at the beginning where they're just talking about their relationship with Jonathan. It was super fun to film, and it was a really great chance for me to act alongside Natalia. But then also the basketball scene. It was my only chance really to work with Caleb and Jokiri and Amy Beth and Maya. And so that was a really great time to just get to collaborate with them, even for like a couple of minutes, because that's really the only scene that I have with anybody outside of Jamie or Natalia. And so I loved those days, just getting to kind of collaborate with the cast.
Now, did you get to watch the entire basketball sequence? Because I know in the show you're seen watching it here or there, but I wasn't sure if maybe they cut to a part where the basketball players weren't playing, something like that. But were you in the gym for the entire sequence?
I was in there for some of it. I wasn't there for all of it, but they definitely had me around for enough. So I got to watch kind of the process of putting this together. And it's intense. I mean, you never really think about it, or at least I didn't from the outside, but the amount of things that kind of have to go right in a sports shot is
Mhm.
so complicated that I was just really impressed with the way that all of them were really able to pull it together. I mean, Mason and Caleb are fantastic and really good at executing what they need to execute. And so I think that it was just really fun to watch that whole process unfold.
That's awesome. Now, one of the more scarier scenes, and I must say that one of the more scarier scenes in Stranger Things history to me, horror-wise, when you get trapped in the woods by Vecna and
Yeah.
all the like ghosts are around you, that was honestly terrifying to me. What was it like filming that scene?
I mean, it's intense. They're all in all of that makeup and they've got the contacts in and they're screaming murderer at you. It gets intense. I was lucky enough to get to meet some of the actors before we really got started, so I was able to kind of put the human behind the horror, but I mean, it makes my job easy. I've just got to act scared against something that's actually scary. So it was really it helped me a lot in order to get to the emotional place that I needed to.
Yeah, because I know that I asked in the comments of my TikTok that everyone was like, "Was he scared? Was he scared? Was he scared?" There was like 30 comments asking if you were genuinely scared in some of these parts, especially with the cop. And as an actor, were you scared a little bit, or is it kind of just since you met the people, it was a little bit easier and you're able to focus?
I mean, it's definitely there. A lot of it is that it's acting and that you're working on a scene. But once you get in the situation, once you kind of lock your mind into the reality of what's happening, it's easy to just kind of give yourself over to what you're seeing. I mean, Vecna's makeup, the monster design is scary. That's easy to kind of commit to and just think like, okay, this thing is really coming at me right now. Like that's easy to interact with. The cop was easy because he's a fantastic actor, and being able to just feed off that really made things easier. I feel like to say I was genuinely scared would be untrue. I don't think there was ever a point that I had a Millie Bobby Brown moment where I'm freaking out because me the human is afraid, but definitely once I committed to what was happening in the moment and in the scene, uh your adrenaline starts to kick in, your body starts to convince yourself that it's real, and it starts to kind of go into that fight or flight. So that definitely put you in a good position to do the job and to make it as believable as possible.
Yeah, I totally understand about that. One of my other favorite scenes, Fred, is of course the cop car scene where the scar starts, the special effects start coming out, and it keeps flashing back to the accident. What was it like as an actor? You're acting in the car, and obviously there's no really special effects and sequences put together. What was it like watching that for the first time?
It was really cool. I mean, I had seen like art and designs of what it was going to look like, and I kind of knew from the makeup department what they were thinking about doing, but to watch just how it opened up and the blood started coming down, it was so cool. I was so impressed with how they were able to pull all that off.
Now back to the grave scene. Jamie Campbell Bower, who plays Vecna in one. Did you meet him the first time while he was in Vecna's suit? Because I've watched videos and it took like 9 hours or something like that for him to get all together. So was that the first time you met Jamie Campbell Bower?
Yeah, I have yet to meet Jamie the human Jamie. Like I haven't met him outside of all that makeup. But he was awesome. He was super kind and super giving as a scene partner. I mean, everything he says about really being in character is totally true, but he wasn't a negative presence on set. He was never the kind of person that was like, you need to call me Vecna, and if you say anything else, there's going to be an issue. Like we had a whole conversation before we got started just about how excited we were to be there and how excited we were to be doing the scene. And at the end of the day, we both offered each other compliments about just like how nice it was working together. But he's intense, and once he gets into that character, it's very easy to give over to the fear that's supposed to be happening in the situation. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've totally get that. I've read online that he did a lot of method acting, and he would walk around Atlanta at night at like 2 a.m. and put sticky notes with like manipulative messages on his apartment wall. So did he ever speak to you like in Vecna's tone or anything like that, or was he basically all Jamie until action?
He was all Jamie until it was time to get rolling. I think we had a moment where we were able to interact, but because I was trying to make sure that I kept myself in an emotional place and he's trying to make sure that he keeps himself in an emotional place, we were both so separated and like in our own worlds that I didn't really get to talk to him as Vecna. Because of the way that Vecna kind of enters the scene, we wanted to maintain that distance between each other. So I was kind of on one end of the studio just listening to music and trying to keep myself in the right headspace, and he's on the other side doing his growling and his pacing around, so that when we come together and it's time to do it, we're both really in the right space to make that scene work the way it needs to work.
How exactly did they film that scene?
I mean, it's complicated. It's breaking it up into parts. It's sliding walls in and out in order to make sure that you can put the camera where it's supposed to go. It's a lot of really technical work, but I was super impressed with all the intricacies and all the detail that they're able to capture it with, that really makes this what seems like a really simple sequence of just me in a grave that took us like 3 days to make look like a really simple sequence and look like it's just seamlessly happening. I was super impressed with everything they were able to do.
Exactly. I've been extremely impressed with especially all the editing in Stranger Things this
Oh
season as
yeah.
well, and the special effects. But that leads to my next TikTok question. So at hearts_kisses XOXO asked, did you or a stunt double do the scene where you fell into the grave?
Thank you, Heart Kisses. I appreciate the question. The first part where I'm on the road and I fall backwards is me. I just fell down onto a crash pad. They needed that first like drop backwards, but the actual fall into a grave was a stunt double. That fall is like a story worth of height. And so they were not going to let me, who was untrained in how to take that kind of impact, do that kind of drop. And I was more than happy to let my stunt double do that one. I have an issue when it comes to heights and falling, and so to be able to kind of watch someone else do that and be like, "Thanks, dude, I appreciate it," was real nice.
Yeah, that's great. I don't think I would have been well with any falls if I was an actor as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I also saw one of your other TikToks, and it was about your mom speaking about when she saw what happened to you and when Fred gets basically mutilated by Vecna. Are you able to tell my viewers a little bit about that story about your mom?
I mean, she's been supportive of my career since I started, and so she kind of watches everything that I do with me. This was the second time that she's watched me die on screen, so this one was a little bit more CGI centric. There's a lot more effects and a lot more craziness, so I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, this is animation. It's not my actual child being murdered. But she had had an experience before where I had done a movie that I commit suicide in, and so that was a lot harder for her to kind of watch through. So I think the fact that we did that one first and then got to Stranger Things, where it's a show that we both love and it's a show that we know is going to be highly fantastical. It was a little bit easier for her to process that particular death, but I definitely saw her turning away and cringing at my bones snapping in a thousand directions.
Oh, I'm sure she's extremely proud of you.
Thank you.
Of course. What song would save Fred Benson from Vecna?
I think the big problem with Fred is he doesn't really listen to music. He's all about the journalism. So I feel like if people were like, what kind of music does Fred like? They wouldn't really have an answer. I think that's part of the reason that he was doomed from the beginning.
From your perspective, a song that you think would save you from Vecna?
This is tough. I have such a varied kind of music interest. And all these songs have different affiliations with me. I think today I've been answering it differently every time I get asked, but I think today I'm gonna go with I'm Not Famous by AJR. They're a band that's from New York. I've known the lead singer since I was in like preschool. And so I think that the idea of hearing one of my close friends singing a song that really like made him super popular and got his kind of name on the map would be something that would bring me back to reality. So I'm gonna go with that one for today.
I love it. And I'm familiar with AJR a little bit. I'll have to listen to them a little more. But
Good.
a little timeline question here. If you yourself had to live in either the 80s or the 2020s, what timeline would you choose?
I'm not a time travel guy. I'm always the guy that's like, you were born when you were meant to be born. I'm not a like, I was born 20 years too late. I think the 2000s are the place for me. I would be lost both literally and emotionally without a cell phone. So I feel like 2022 is the spot for me.
Yeah, the same thing here with me. The only thing I really love about the 80s is the music. That's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I feel like that's the thing that makes the show Stranger Things, is especially the music. So that's why what I would pick. But if you could bring back one Stranger Things character who died, and it could be Fred, who would you bring back and why?
Okay, this is tough. I've got to like put Fred to the side because I love Fred so much, but as a fan, I get divided into two camps. The first one is Eddie, of course, because he's the love of all of our lives, Eddie Munson. And I wish that he would get that chance to strut across the stage and snatch that diploma. And then the other one, of course, is Bob. I mean, Bob, the superhero, Bob, the legend. I feel like both those characters deserved better and got the short end of the stick by being pulled into situations that they weren't ready for and kind of forced to become the hero. So I feel like I'm stuck between the two of them, but I'll give you those for my answers.
Well, I'll go to another TikTok question. This one is from Brian is great. He said, if Fred was real, would you be friends with him?
Brian, awesome question. I feel like I would want to be friends with Fred, but Fred might not want to be friends with me. I'm a little more relaxed, a little more laid back, I think, than Fred is, and I think he would have a problem with that. I'm ready to work when it's time to work, but Fred can get a little obsessive about things, and I feel like I would really respect that about him, the fact that he's so dedicated and really wants the best product possible. But I also think that some of his snarky comments might rub me the wrong way. So I feel like we might butt heads a little bit until we kind of got to know each other a little better.
So what qualities of yourself do you see in Fred the most?
I think just dedication to what we both want. Fred really with journalism, me with like acting and writing. There's this push for what we think that the project should be. And then I also just think a care for friends. I mean, Fred really cares about Nancy and he wants the best for her. He wants her to be happy and to succeed. And I feel the same way about my friends. I think that we both have a real passion and dedication for the people that we care about. And I really like that about Fred.
That's awesome. Now, did you always know Fred's fate from the moment you were auditioning or when you got on set? Did you know he was always going to die?
I didn't know when I was auditioning. I knew pretty early on being on set that that's what was going to happen. And of course, you always hope that you last for a long time, but to know that I was going to get this really cool, intense death that was kind of going to propel the story forward was really great. I mean, I had a feeling the moment that I found out I was going to be working with Nancy that I didn't really have a chance, but that's just how the Duffers roll. Is Nancy doesn't get to have friends for very long.
That's extremely true. I always have said that. I feel like not many people point it out, but Nancy is one of the most well, one of the characters who have gone through some of the most traumatic experiences, and they
Oh
don't
yeah.
really touch on that too much. Well, they did this season when she got taken by Vecna, but I feel like in the past they haven't really touched on that, and I feel genuinely bad for her.
I mean, yeah, watching past seasons, like one of the first people to go to the Upside Down, got attacked by the Mind Flayer a bunch of times. Like, she's been through a lot. Losing your best friend because you were hooking up with a boy, like that's super traumatic. It's been a tough time for Nancy. So hopefully next season she gets a friend who doesn't get murdered. Maybe her and Robin can like actually form a friendship, and
I don't know.
we
I don't know. I don't. Do we want Robin to become friends with Nancy? Because
keep Robin away from Nancy so they
keep
don't so
Robin
she doesn't
away.
die.
Now, to go back to Eddie, because I can tell you really love the character of Eddie, played by Joseph Quinn. Did
Yeah.
you know what was going to happen after your parts at all? And did you know that Eddie was going to die in Stranger Things?
I didn't. I made sure that I stayed as far away from any spoilers as I could because I'm a fan of the show. I wanted to be able to watch it just face front. And I fell in love with Eddie's character like everybody else when he got introduced. And of course, I was worried about what was going to happen, but I had my hopes. And then the end of the season, the moment that when he says over and over, "I'm not a hero," you know that he's not going to end up not being the hero. So I kind of had a feeling that he wasn't going to make it, but it was definitely sad to watch it all unfold.
Now, what did you think was the craziest death in season 4? When I talked to Trey, who played Jeff on the show, we both agreed that the deaths were crazy and insane this season. But one of the most gruesome that we talked about was Jason, played by Mason Dye, because he got
I was
split
gonna
in half.
Yeah, and it's so sudden. I mean, I think the Duffers do a really great job of building up this kind of secondary antagonist and then just absolutely destroying him in the fastest sequence possible. I think it really goes to show just how devastating this thing that Vecna is doing is that Jason basically disappears. And I think that's a really great storytelling tool to kind of show what's happening across the town to people. And just the fact that Jason was this villain who was intense and how quickly Vecna just kind of takes care of him. So I think I would agree that Jason's was kind of the most brutal death. I think had Max stayed dead, I would have said that one. But with her coming back to life and being in a coma, I feel like she gets a pass.
Now, what did you think of the fake death of Max? Because I was a little, I'm still a little hesitant on it because I'm not a fan of fake deaths when it comes to shows and movies because I thought the acting by Caleb in that was insane. Like I was honestly crying at that scene, and it was so impactful that I thought if she died, it would be one of the like greatest deaths in Stranger Things history. So what do you think of her still being alive?
I mean, I think it does a lot of things. I think having 11 get that power boost, that ability to like bring people back, I think is going to be really important going forward. I think it shows that she's really stepping up a notch, that she's now not just this kid, she's got these like more advanced powers that are starting to show up. I think that it doesn't diminish the beauty of the scene between Caleb and Sadie. I think the two of them did phenomenal acting. And I also think that it kind of sets us up for what's possible going forward. I think it was a little tease of what might happen in season 5. I think I try and remember that even though the actors are getting older, the characters are still like 14. And so to watch like a 14-year-old child get like brutally murdered like that, I think is really hard. But I think to have her live and to kind of have that additional layer of trauma on top of what Max was already going through, I think is just going to lead to more that Vecna is going to be able to do to her in season 5. And so I think it was a powerful scene, and I think the right choice ultimately, because I think next season is really where we're going to lose people from the main cast, and I think it's going to be really devastating.
Yeah, I that's why I've gotten a little bit better with it. When I first watched it, I was a little hesitant, but now I'm super excited to see what happens in season 5. And who knows, Max, she's basically in a coma. She has broken legs. She may be blind for the rest of her life. So who knows
Yeah.
what will happen with her character. But what would you say if, or what would your reaction be if you got to come back for some flashbacks?
I mean, of course, I'd be thrilled to be a part of it. You always want to go back to a show like that. It's an amazing group. It's an amazing place to be. I mean, I'd be honored in order if they invited me back and asked me to be a part of it. I'd say yes immediately.
Now, my last question is, who would you hate to see die in season 5?
I mean, I've been a Dustin fan since the very, very beginning, and Will is the most innocent bean sprout that I just want to protect with all my heart and soul. So I feel like if either of them lost, I'd be heartbroken. And I have a bad feeling that we're gonna lose Will in season 5, and I don't want it to happen. And I feel like it's gonna shatter my soul, but we shall see. I'm hoping they both make it out.
I 100% agree with you. I think they would really shake the entire world if they killed off both Will and Dustin,
Yeah.
even any of the main characters, even Nancy. I'd be extremely sad over.
Oh yeah. I mean, it'd break my heart. Any of them, if we lost any of the main cast, it would suck. But those two are special to me. They're my favorites.
Well, lastly, what would you say to all the fans who have supported you through your role as Fred Benson?
I mean, just thank you. It's been a really humbling, joy-filled process to see the reception to Fred and all the love that he gets. I appreciate all the art and the cosplays and the edits, and it's been super surreal. And I try and be as in contact with people as I can. I try and respond to as many messages as possible. And if I miss you, I'm sorry. Just know that I appreciate the heck out of it, and it means so much to me. And I can't wait to continue showing what I'm capable of doing as an actor going forward.
Well, Logan, thank you so much for joining me today. You can watch Logan as Fred Benson on Stranger Things season 4, streaming now on Netflix. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Devin. Thank you so much. This was a blast.